The museum opened in 1884, although its collections and early programming began with Milwaukee's German-English Academy that was founded in 1851. This new building opened in 1962, and it's a fantastic building. I have no earthly idea why they want to move. Right at the entrance they have the Heber mammoth, one of the most famous and reproduced mammoths ever. The museum does own its bones, as it was discovered in nearby Kenosha County. This mammoth is so important because its bones do have several human-made cut marks, and the skeleton was found with human tools. The bone collagen is dated to 14,500 years ago. This evidence has played a big role in the debate about pre-Clovis human occupation in North America. The first exhibit is called A Sense of Wonder, and it's set up like an old-style late Victorian museum, seemingly uncurated and jam-packed with all sorts of cool taxidermy and artifacts from other lands. Back then there was much more emphasis on the more bizarre, rare, and beautiful relics, so museums were usually a much more vivid experience. I really like how they set this up here in a modern museum. This is Samson the gorilla, a former celebrity of the Milwaukee County Zoo. He entertained visitors to the zoo for 3 decades, but suddenly died in 1981. But 25 years later, a museum taxidermist used photographs and Samson's life mask and skeleton to make this amazing, lifelike artificial reconstruction of the mighty Samson. Carl Dietz was on the museum's board a long time ago, and he really liked typewriters and amassed a massive collection of them. This is the father of taxidermy, Carl Akeley's first ever museum taxidermy diorama. Akeley worked at the Milwaukee Public Museum at the time, and he made this muskrat colony in a box. He went on to become a big-time taxidermist and sculptor, and he did a lot of the big taxidermy dioramas at the American Museum of Natural History and the Field Museum. Here's a display on numismatics, so there's a lot of very antiquated currency forms. This part will primarily be focused on the Streets of Old Milwaukee and the European Village, 2 incredible indoor replica towns depicting life in different eras. I am really nervous that they're going to take these out, which is very criminal, so please bring these to the new museum. The Streets of Old Milwaukee was one of the first walkthrough dioramas ever made. The time is set at the turn of the century in downtown Milwaukee, the streets are darkened, and the lights are gas-lit. The Streets of Yesterday here did inspire Alex Jordan Jr. to build his own Streets of Yesterday at the House on the Rock in Spring Green, Wisconsin, one of my favorite places on the planet. There's the fanciful Hotel Pfister. This is the sausage factory. Milwaukee had a lot of German immigrants, so there's going to be a lot of prominent German cultural aspects. You can ride a penny farthing bike. Most museums don't let you do this. They do actually suck. Who invented this? This is the printmaker shop. The Schlomer motor wagon here was the first gasoline-powered automobile designed in Wisconsin by a Milwaukee Cooper in 1892. Sitting in her rocking chair on the porch is the local celebrity Granny. She has sat on this porch for over half a century. She used to rock back and forth, but she doesn't anymore, and she also has a Twitter account now. This is the inside of the house. There's a kite stuck in the power lines. There's a police telephone box. This is where police used to be stationed. Here is the old-fashioned cinema playing some good old Charlie Chaplin. This is the toy store, filled with antique toys. This is an original memorial to the USS Maine, made out of the USS Maine. I think these plaques were mass-produced. I've located these in several cities. This weird eyeball sign tells you where the optometrist's office is located. This is the milliner shop. Here is the bar, filled with plentiful types of beers that were, and some still are, produced here in Milwaukee. Lab's drugstore, with lots of unquestionably safe substances to put in your body. The dry goods store. You can even go up on the second floor balcony of a building. This is so cool. The creepy wax figures really add to the ambiance. There's a photography studio in there. The camera does flash sometimes when you walk by. The barber shop. This is the Honor Log Cabin, an authentic home built in Soakville, Wisconsin by German immigrant Michael Honor. This is a replication of the Watson home, set in 1858. They were a free African-American couple. Sully was a former slave who was never able to read, but his wife Susanna could, and that's what she's doing. Black suffrage had gained popular support even in the 1840s here in Wisconsin, but it was never able to pass until 1866, 2 years before the 14th Amendment. This represents the home of an upper middle class Milwaukee family. And this is the machine and pattern shop. Again, please save the streets of Old Milwaukee. We have now entered the European Village. a simulated European town incorporating architectural and cultural elements from across the continent. The fusion of homes and shops from 33 different European ethnicities is set in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The village is a wonderful way to showcase the diversity of lifestyles and cultures across Europe just before the Great War. This first one is the Slovene house. Here's the home of an Eastern European Jewish family. Like the Streets of Old Milwaukee, these rooms are filled with antique furnishings and wax figures. This is a sculpture of Padraig O'Connor, who was a beloved Irish storyteller here in Milwaukee. This is a Hungarian home. Ukrainian. Russian. Czech. Polish. Austrian. Italian. German. Latvian. Swedish. Norwegian. Danish. Dutch. Scotch. And here is a shop set in England. The European Village is such a unique and fantastic old school immersive exhibit, and I do not believe there are plans for it to be translated into the new museum, so a real masterpiece may be destroyed here. This wax diorama shows the sloop o' war Felicity, anchored here at Milwaukee in 1779. The site of Milwaukee was a Native American village with several tribes and some Frenchmen, and this shows a French trapper's cabin here among the Native Americans. This is a replica of the feathered dinosaur that apparently probably existed. That's really cool. It looks like this diorama has a velociraptor next to some archaeologists. It's gonna slaughter them. This is the Tree of Life, a big taxidermy display of all sorts of animals and plants, and it shows how everything is connected in so many different ways. Here are some jars of fun. They also have a Butterfly Conservatory that's really cool. There's so much more to this museum. This wasn't even the full first floor. The next exhibit is the rainforest. And what's really cool about this is that they have an indoor replica rainforest, along with some replica rainforest wildlife, along with some real taxidermy. There's the sloth, one of the greatest species to ever roam the earth. And there's a taxidermy two-toed sloth. That's a large arapaima fish. There's a bunch of colorful rainforest parrots and avians. This wax scientist is working in his field lab. And there's a wax scientist in a modern lab. Now entering the dinosaur exhibit, there's a Triceratops skeleton. You can see a puncture wound in its skull, probably due to another dinosaur. There's a bunch of minerals. The exhibit continues through a reproduced cave. There's some sedimentary rock with fossils, as well as some other animal fossils. In the late Paleozoic era, southeastern Wisconsin was positioned near the equator, and a big tropical coral reef blossomed. There's a Stegosaurus. This is perhaps the most iconic display here at the Milwaukee Public Museum, a T-Rex eating the guts out of a dead Triceratops. The display is so well known because it is a little graphic, especially for the plentiful children who have grown up coming here, as the Triceratops guts are wide open. This scene depicts Hell Creek in eastern Montana 66 million years ago. There were a lot of big dinosaurs there. That's a Tyrannosaurus Rex skull. And they have more skeletons of prehistoric Wisconsin wildlife. Here's the Ice Age mammoth, bison, and saber-toothed cat. There's a lot of Ice Age land formations that are still visible in Wisconsin, as the big Pleistocene era glacier did move forward here 12,000 years ago and then later retreated. This exhibit is on the first Americans. Here are some artifacts from the beginning of European settlement and fur trading in North America. Here in Wisconsin they were primarily French and then later British. This display depicts a Great Plains bison hunt. This is a really great and realistic diorama. Here's a little secret. If you look carefully at the base of the display, you can find the old snake button. When you press the button, it makes the rattlesnakes rattle rattle. There's a model of a buffalo jump, when the natives would chase the bison off a big cliff. This display shows a modern Wisconsin woodland powwow, featuring the Wisconsin tribes of the Menominee, Ojibwe, Oneida, Potawatomi, Stockbridge Munsee, and the Winnebago.
Summer cloud singers, led by Rich Wabano Wanabe.
This is a Tlingit mortuary pole. This one is from southeastern Alaska, and it was at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. This is a deer in Washington's Olympic rainforest. These dioramas depict northwestern tribes like the Tlingit collecting fish and building canoes. This is a Hamatsa ceremony, where the religious orders of the Pacific Northwest performed dramatic performances that lasted several weeks. Those are seals at a Pacific tide pool on the west coast. What I really love about this area of the museum is that it's just like New York City's American Museum of Natural History. They have taxidermy with old hand-painted backgrounds depicting regional locations. This display is on the Pono basket weavers. We're now in the Southwest with Pueblo-style architecture. This miniature is of a family's private home quarters in the Pueblo. There's a bunch of Kachina dolls. There's a mountain lion about to attack a deer on the cliffs of the Grand Canyon. A saguaro cacti. A display on the Seminole of Florida. There's a gator. It's a manatee. There's some wild turkeys roaming in the woods of Georgia. There's poop running down the sides of these cliffs. This whole area is based on Wisconsin wildlife and Native Americans. There's a brown bear and its cub that accidentally got in a bee's nest, and they're now being brutally attacked. There's some cranes. This is a figure of an Iroquois in Wisconsin. Examples of beadwork of Wisconsin tribes. There are some beavers. A collection of taxidermy of rare Wisconsin birds. Some coyotes. Wisconsin mammals. I really like the suspended birds and the hand-painted sky. This scene depicts the Horicon Marsh here in Wisconsin, the largest freshwater cattail marsh in the country. The very extensive exhibit halls of the 4th floor showcase taxidermy and culture of the entire world, which is so awesome. In this scene, there's an indigenous Australian with Uluru in the background. A costume from a Balinese dance drama. That's pretty interesting. This is a highly decorated Taiwanese fishing boat. There's a large boa constrictor. And some orangutans in the tree. There are a lot of artifacts from Southeast Asia. There's way too much to look at and focus in on up here. This is a marketplace in urban India. With an elephant roaming the street. There are some tigers about to kill some longhorned cows. This is a replica Hindu temple. This looks like a Japanese gate, and there's some antique painted screens in there. This depicts a Japanese home, and these people are playing some old card game. A Buddhist shrine. That's really beautiful. Some Chinese hand-carved items, some out of ivory, along with some Chinese ceramics. This is a samurai shop. We're now in the Arctic, where a polar bear is sneaking up on a poor seal family. Some Eskimo ice seal hunting and equipment. This is what an igloo home was actually like. There's a sled dog team. Some bighorn mountain sheep. These elk are probably fighting over a doe. This display is on the Pacific Islands, where some cultures used human skulls as decorative elements. A replica Maui Easter Island head. Some South American pottery and technology. These are all relics of the Nazca, who predated the Inca in southern Peru. Some Mochica relics, they were in northern Peru around the same time. This scene shows the discovery of a Peruvian mummy. There are plenty of examples of gold from Central America. Some Western Mexican sculpture. There are some relics from Teotihuacan, the largest city in the pre-Columbian Americas. This is the Amazon rainforest. There's a llama in the Andes. These are the Milwaukee Public Museum's shrunken heads. You don't find many of these outside of auditoriums, and these were made by the Jivaro of modern Ecuador. They were a very fierce tribe, and the successful warriors would prove themselves by shrinking the heads of their victims. And this is a wax figure of a headhunter. Here are some modern African arts. Here they actually have artifact displays representative of almost all modern African countries, at least based on distinctive historical cultural differences. There's a bunch of great taxidermy of African wildlife. That's the anteater. There's a bunch of ceremonial masks and musical instruments. This is a really cool scene of a lion hunt. Who do you think would win? There's so much cool and rare taxidermy here, like some zebras. That's the magnificent African bull elephant. Some rhinoceroses, a group of lions, that's awesome. And this area is a display on Latin America, with artifacts from most regions of Mexico. So this museum is absolutely fantastic. It has to be one of the best displays of world natural and human history in the United States. I think it is absolutely perfect the way it is now, but I guess we'll see how they change it in the future. Anyways, thanks for watching.